Every single day, ladies and gentlemen, every single day doing this job, I kind of sit back and I ask myself one question. I ask myself, what the hell are these movie studios doing? What the hell is Hollywood doing as they make endless mistakes that seem so easily rectifiable to me? In a way, basic concepts that most businesses understand work to try and turn a profit and make your company, something special, something that works. And Hollywood is one of those places where maybe it's because of the freelance nature of the job, but it just doesn't seem to work. Now, it's partially, I think, because of the freelance nature of the job, but also because so many people in Hollywood, artistic types especially, believe that they are something truly unique with something truly special to share with the world, not just in their art, but in their political opinions and everything else that they try to discuss with people. And there is a metric ton of hubris that comes with a worldview like that. Now, when it's done well, you can oftentimes get great pieces of art, great movies, great television shows, great music. But the problem with it is that there isn't any type of barrier between who actually creates things of such significance and those who simply aspire to do so. And those who aspire to do so also seem to have that same high view of themselves. Now, in this case, I merely want to ask why these studios even allow these actors to have any type of social media presence that is not strictly controlled by a social media manager whose whole entire job it is to post the right things, get attention on the side of their client, and push their business forward, or in this case, their client forward, to greater heights through the use of social media. But that's not what we see. Most of the time, what we see are actors who stick their foot in their mouths, sometimes on purpose because they just have opinions that the general population hates. But sometimes they just don't understand that when they tweet something, when they post something on X, on Instagram, on any form of social media, they are running the risk of putting millions upon millions of dollars of projects, in danger because of their choices to say things that get them in trouble. In this case, we're talking about actress Ariana DeBose, who starred in West Side Story along with Rachel Zegler, which is what this whole thing is about. Also, coincidentally, she was Asha in the 2023 movie Wish, which is one of the worst Disney movies I've ever seen. But I didn't see West Side Story. It didn't do well at the box office, but she did win Best Actress, I believe. So it's not that the world thinks she's untalented. That's not the question here. The question is, can your talent outrun your mouth when you say things that get you in trouble? So what happened was Ariana DeBose reposted something on Instagram about the idea of narcissism. And what she doesn't realize is that the origins of this quote were from Jonah Platt, who is currently in his own tiff with Rachel Zegler because Jonah Platt's father was one of the producers on Snow White, who then had to go down, fly to where Rachel Zegler was, and talk to her about the problems her social media posts were giving their project. So let's look at what she posted first of all. This was the Instagram post here. I can pull this up. It says, narcissism is not something to be coddled or encouraged. Well, I personally think that that is actually really, really good advice for anyone. You don't even have to be an actor for that to be good advice. But the problem is, for most of these situations, what you don't understand is that a quote could come from literally anywhere. And given your fan base, especially these days with the type of rabid Gen Z fan base that some of these actors have, which kind of overlaps with stan culture, they are terminally online. They will turn on you a second if you say something they don't agree with, or even associate with someone that they don't like. So she posted this, and people quickly pointed out that this was the quote from Jonah Platt, in his post regarding Rachel Zegler, and people started coming after her. So she eventually had to respond This was also on Instagram. She says, this is Ariana DeBose. She says, I post quotes all the time and thought this one was meaningful. Will fully cop to the fact that I did not do any research on where this quote came from, nor did I know of the connection until it was pointed out to me. I have no intention of inserting myself into a news cycle. This is not the first time I've posted about dealing with narcissism, and it probably won't be the last. But next time I'll be sure to clarify its origins first. So yeah, you're kind of, it's like fruit from the poison tree. Even if the quote is meaningful, I guess in a very, basic sort of way, it's kind of what Instagram is for a lot of people, posting inspirational quotes and things like that. Even if the quote is meaningful and good advice, you're kind of poisoned by the fact that this is dragging you into a very, very, very dangerously toxic side of the news cycle right now, as different factions within Hollywood are fighting to control the narrative around the absolute box office bomb, the absolute implosion of Snow White, which lost out to A Working Man starring Jason Statham in its second weekend at the box office. And look, this whole thing goes back to Jonah Platt and all that. We could rehash everything to do with Rachel Zegler and all of the many tens of thousands of controversies that currently kind of surround Snow White. But if you're watching this channel, I would assume that you know most of this anywhere. And I'm not even going to pick on Rachel Zegler more than she already has been. Oddly enough, I thought that she was, the one good part of Snow White, but it cannot be understated how much damage her words did to this film in the lead up to it, on top of all the other controversies. But her willingness to kind of alienate half of America because of their political opinions and everything else. It wasn't even just that. It wasn't even the comments about Palestine, at least in my opinion, that ended up turning people off going to this movie. It was the disdain she seemed to show for the original content. But that is not really the point here. It's just a quick summary. The point here is that why did they even let these celebrities these celebrities who are shepherding projects that cost hundreds of millions of dollars of investment from these studios that supposedly at least claim that they want to turn a profit on, why do they even allow these actors to be so active on social media? If anything, they encourage it. They're now talking about how you're not getting hired for a movie unless you have got over 1 million followers on Instagram. So it's like they've backed themselves into this corner where they not only have to have 1 million followers just to get hired in a main role in a movie, they have to have 1 million followers, and they have to make sure that they say the exact right thing to that follower each and every day. You're basically putting a WMD in every actor's pocket and expecting them not to accidentally hit the button by accident while it sits there. And I say accident because what I mean is that a lot of these actors, they're either so ideologically entrenched in what they believe, or they don't understand the reach that these things have these days. But even if we are to ignore the second part, it's safe to say that a lot of the times these people have such strong beliefs about what they mean about good and evil, their interpretations of good and evil, which these days seems to be rich and poor, that they can't help themselves from talking about it, and they don't even understand the irony and the hypocrisy of being in one of the most largely heavily capitalist industries in the world, while they talk down to people about their politics, people who do want to get ahead in the world and who don't see money as evil. I'm using that as a broad brush issue that seems to engulf lots of Hollywood these days. There's so much writing going on in Hollywood right now about the evils of billionaires. So it's not like it's just the actors. It's infected the writing as well. But why did they even allow these actors to make mistakes like this when it's so easily solvable? Like, if I was in charge of these movie studios, the first thing that you do, if you asked me, would be to sit these actors down, remind them that what they're doing costs. These projects, they're not cheap. You're not funding this. We're paying you, and we are funding millions upon millions of dollars for which you will be seen as the face of this project. And you ask them, you say, do you value having a high-paying job that puts you into the center of the public consciousness? Do you value that? Do you value the ability to tell this story? They always talk about how much they believe in the storytelling and the power of storytelling. Do you believe in the power that this story has enough to set aside your political opinions, your personal takes, and allow us to control what gets posted in the lead up to and directly after the release of this movie? Nobody's trying to limit your speech. What they're asking you is that when you come to work, you're expected to have a sense of decorum, and your job is different. You are not a 9-to-5 personality. You're not somebody who's expected to go into the office, and while you're in the office, you're expected to uphold the values or fall in line behind the values of this company. You're expected to do this 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and get us nothing but good press in the lead up to this film, whichever film that may be. And look, if you believe that that is worth it, that the large amount of money that you are to be paid and the fame that you are to gain, if you believe that is worth it, then you give us the logins to your social media account, or you use an approved, like a studio approved social media manager to do so. If you truly want to get in good with your audience and you really want to connect, what you do is you do maybe once a month you do like an Ask Me Anything, a sit down on an Instagram live, and you are coached beforehand about what questions to ask, what questions to answer, what questions not to answer. I just can't imagine, I can't imagine working in an industry that takes the big swings that they do, invests the money that they do without having real, and maybe I'm wrong, maybe this stuff is in place and we're just seeing the outliers here, and investing all of this money and having really, really, really well thought out, well documented, well enforced social media guidelines for actors when you're putting so much at their feet and expecting them to be perfect. I'm actually, if anything, I'm making the argument to make it easier on the actors. I want them to not say stupid stuff and alienate the audiences. I don't really care most of the time what their opinions are. I don't expect someone creating art to have the same opinions as me, but I do expect these companies to understand that not everyone holds that perspective, and they're not going to want to give money to people who talk down to them. I don't believe that is a ridiculous thing to believe, and I don't think it's a ridiculous thing to ask of people when they're being compensated in the way that they are. So, look, maybe I'm like overthinking it, but I just think that this is not the problem it needs to be, especially in a society that's evolved to be as litigious as the one we currently live in. It feels like these problems should have been solved like in the early 2010s. Like after Twitter's created and everyone's using these social media platforms, I feel like really, really smart companies should have gotten out in front of this, and we shouldn't even be seeing these problems happen these days. But the problem is, like, now people are saying that Ariana DeBose is just jealous of Rachel Zegler. I have no idea if that's true. They're saying it's because she's older than her. And people are going to speculate. People are going to complain. I don't think that this controversy is going to hurt her the way that the myriad of controversies hurt Rachel Zegler. But that is not the point. The point is that all of this is imminently solvable and easy to fix as long as you put protocols in place and you impress upon the people that you hire that if you want to work on this project, if you want the fame, you want the money, you want the reach, so that in the future when you do want to spout your activist causes, if you want the reach that movies like this will get you, you have to agree to these social media policies in the interim. I don't feel like this is impossible to fix. This is on you, Hollywood. I would be interested to know what you guys think down in the comments. I would be willing to bet that most of you, if you watch channels like this, you don't really want to hear the opinions of these actors, and you do believe that you should stop giving money to people that speak down to you. It depends on who you are. It's a little bit different when you're going to review stuff, when you're talking about this stuff. You try to be as unbiased as possible. Lucky for me, I have the attention span of a gnat, so a lot of times I'll be watching a movie or a television show, and I'll be like, I know that guy said something stupid or something I disagree with. Wendell Pierce is one of those ones. As an actor, he's one of the best, and I love watching him, but he's so heavily political on Twitter that I just have to laugh, because to me it's his innate talent as an actor that helps him win out. But also for me, it's like, I remember he said something, I don't remember exactly what it was, and I move on with my day. Other people are elephant memory. They remember everything, and the second they see you on screen, they don't want to hear it. So let me know down below, guys, where do you fall on that issue? Should actors just shut up and act, or should they say what they want and the studios just put up with it? Interested to hear what you have to say. If you do not watch this channel regularly, guys, we are Pop Culture Crisis. We are live normally Monday through Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is noon Pacific. You should come hang out with us live. We'll see you there, guys. Thanks for watching. Listen to full episodes of Pop Culture Crisis on Spotify.
Keep up with us on social media and make sure you subscribe and ring that bell so you never miss the show. Bye, guys.